Beloved, when we think of value, so often our minds race toward external measures, how we look, what we achieve, or the applause we gather. But let me tell you this, being a high-value woman is not about striving for perfection. It's about embracing authenticity. A high-value woman knows that her worth doesn't come from being flawless, but from being real. She has the courage to stand in her truth, even when it's messy, even when it's vulnerable. Because vulnerability, my friends, is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. Authenticity is the heartbeat of a high-value woman. It is the quiet yet powerful declaration that who you are at your core is enough. Yet in a world that often pressures us to conform, authenticity can feel like a radical act. From an early age, we are taught to mold ourselves into what others expect, to be agreeable, to be likable, to fit into neat little boxes. As we grow into third-party initiatives, we are led to believe that fear is a weakness. We are taught, but the truth is, when we spend too much time trying to be who we think the world wants us to be, we lose sight of who we truly are. Authenticity isn't about being liked. It's about being real. To embrace authenticity, we must first unlearn the false narratives we've absorbed about ourselves. Perhaps you've been told you're too much, too loud, too bold, too emotional. Or maybe you've been told you're not enough, too quiet, too small, too invisible. These narratives aren't truth. They're stories that others projected onto you. And here's the thing. You have the power to rewrite them. But rewriting your story requires self-awareness. It calls for a willingness to sit with yourself, to look inward with curiosity and compassion, and to ask, who am I when the world isn't watching? Being authentic doesn't mean you have to expose every corner of your soul to everyone you meet. It's not about oversharing or putting every emotion on display. Authenticity is about alignment. It's about ensuring that your inner world matches your outer actions. It's about speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about showing up as yourself, unapologetically, even when you fear judgment. A high-value woman knows that her truth may not please everyone, and that's okay. Because when you embrace authenticity, you attract the people and opportunities that are meant for you. But let's be honest, authenticity takes courage. It means standing in your truth, even when it feels vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a testament to your strength. When you dare to be authentic, you give others permission to do the same. Think about the people who inspire you the most. Chances are, they're not the ones pretending to have it all together. They're the ones who are real, who show you their scars and their victories, who remind you that it's okay to be human. Another truth about authenticity is that it's a journey, not a destination. There will be days when you feel deeply connected to yourself and others, and there will be days when doubt creeps in. That's normal. What matters is that you keep coming back to yourself. Embrace the messiness of being human. Give yourself grace. Remember that authenticity isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up for yourself again and again, even when it's hard. So, beloved, as you move through your days, let authenticity be your compass. Let your values guide your choices. Let your heart lead your words. The world needs your voice, your truth, and your light. When you embrace authenticity, you become magnetic. Not because you're striving to be anyone's idea of perfect, but because you've decided that who you are is already more than enough. We live in a culture that glorifies perfection. From airbrushed images to curated social media feeds, we're constantly bombarded with the message that we need to be flawless to be worthy. But here's the truth. Perfection is a myth. a mirage that keeps us chasing something unattainable. And while we chase perfection, we lose sight of what truly matters: our courage, our connection, and our humanity. A high value woman understands that true strength lies not in being perfect, but in being brave enough to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many of us associate it with weakness or fragility, but it's quite the opposite. Vulnerability is the willingness to show up and be seen, even when there are no guarantees. It's the courage to say, this is who I am, and I'm not afraid to be real. Think about the times when you felt deeply connected to someone. Those moments likely didn't come from sharing your successes or showcasing your perfection. They came from moments of truth, when someone let down their guard and showed you their heart. Choosing courage over perfection means embracing the messy, imperfect parts of ourselves. It's about letting go of the fear that if we're not perfect, we'll be rejected or unloved. This fear is universal, but it's also a lie. The people who truly matter in our lives don't love us for our perfection. They love us for our authenticity. They love us for our quirks, our imperfections, and our willingness to be real. Vulnerability allows us to connect on a deeper level because it speaks to the humanity in all of us. But let's be honest, being vulnerable isn't easy. It requires us to step outside our comfort zones and face uncertainty. It means risking rejection, disappointment, and even failure. Yet within that risk lies the greatest reward. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for growth, learning, and transformation. We stop striving for an unattainable ideal and start embracing the beauty of who we are right now. Vulnerability is where courage is born. And it's also where we find our greatest strength. To choose courage over perfection, we must also reframe our relationship with failure. Failure is not the enemy, it's a teacher. Each stumble and misstep offers us valuable lessons about resilience, perseverance, and self-compassion. When we allow ourselves to fail, we demonstrate that we're willing to try, to grow, and to show up for the things that matter most. A high-value woman doesn't fear failure. She embraces it as part of her journey. She knows that her worth is not defined by her mistakes, but by her willingness to keep going. Beloved, courage over perfection is not a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. It's the decision to show up for yourself, even when you feel unprepared or uncertain. It's the commitment to prioritize connection over image, progress over perfection, and authenticity over appearance. Remember, vulnerability is not a weakness to hide, it's a superpower to embrace. When you lead with courage and open your heart, you create a life rich with meaning, connection, and purpose. And that, my dear, is the true power of vulnerability. Boundaries often get a bad reputation. For many, they seem like walls, cold, harsh, and isolating. But in truth, boundaries are not walls that separate us from others. They are bridges that connect us in healthier, more meaningful ways. A high-value woman understands that setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-respect. Boundaries protect our peace, preserve our energy, and create space for the relationships and experiences that truly nourish our souls. At its core, a boundary is simply a clear expression of what we will and will not allow in our lives. It is a declaration of our needs, values, and limits. Yet setting boundaries often feels uncomfortable because it requires us to be vulnerable. It forces us to confront the fear of disappointing others or being misunderstood. But beloved, if you don't protect your peace, who will? If you don't set the tone for how others treat you, they'll set it for you. And often in ways that leave you feeling depleted and unseen. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about honoring yourself. When you establish boundaries, you're not shutting people out. You're inviting them to engage with you in a way that respects your emotional and physical well-being. Healthy boundaries allow us to maintain our individuality while fostering connection. They ensure that our relationships are built on mutual respect, not resentment. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. By protecting your peace, you have more to give to the people and pursuits that matter most. The beauty of boundaries is that they teach others how to love and respect us. When you articulate your limits with clarity and kindness, you're showing others what you value and how they can support you. For example, saying, "I need time for myself this evening," is not a rejection, it's an act of self-care. It also opens the door for deeper understanding and communication. When you establish boundaries, you're not only protecting your peace, you're modeling healthy behavior for those around you. Yet, setting boundaries is not always easy. It requires courage, practice, and self-awareness. Many of us fear that saying no will make us seem unkind or unapproachable, but saying yes to everything often leads to overwhelm, burnout, and resentment. True kindness is rooted in authenticity, and you cannot be authentic if you're constantly betraying your own needs to please others. A high-value woman knows that every no she gives is a yes to something more aligned with her values and well-being. Beloved, boundaries are not barriers. They are pathways to a life of peace, purpose, and fulfillment. They empower you to prioritize what truly matters and let go of what doesn't serve you. They create room for relationships that uplift and inspire you while weeding out those that drain and diminish you. Protecting your peace is not a luxury. It's a necessity. So dare to set the boundaries you need. Be bold in honoring your limits and watch as your life begins to reflect the love, respect, and balance you've always deserved. There is a quiet strength that comes from knowing deep within your soul that you are enough. It's not about arrogance or entitlement. It's about recognizing your inherent worth as a human being. In a world that constantly tells us we need to do more, be more, or achieve more to be valued, the confidence of self-worth is a radical act of self-love. A high-value woman understands that her worth is not tied to her achievements, appearance, or the opinions of others. It is intrinsic and unwavering. Self-worth begins with understanding that you are not a product of your external circumstances. Society often teaches us to measure our value by how much we accomplish, how many people approve of us, or how perfectly we perform. But beloved, you are not defined by your resume, your relationship status, or your reflection in the mirror. Your worth is not something you earn. It is something you already possess. That you are enough simply because you exist, and nothing can take that away from you. Cultivating the confidence of self-worth requires unlearning the lies you've been told about yourself. Perhaps you've internalized the belief that you need to prove your value by saying yes to everything, by never making mistakes, or by putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own. But these patterns only lead to exhaustion and emptiness. True self-worth is about reclaiming your power, recognizing that you are not here to meet everyone else's expectations. You are here to live authentically and unapologetically as yourself. Knowing you are enough doesn't mean you stop growing or striving for your dreams. It means you approach life from a place of abundance rather than lack. When you believe in your own worth, you stop chasing validation from others. Instead, you pursue your goals because they align with your values, not because you need them to feel worthy. Confidence rooted in self-worth allows you to take risks, make mistakes, and face challenges without questioning your value. You know that success and failure are just experiences, not reflections of who you are. Confidence also means setting boundaries and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. A woman who knows her worth doesn't tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or one-sided relationships. She understands that her time and energy are precious, and she invests them wisely. This kind of confidence isn't about arrogance. It's about self-respect. It's about recognizing that you deserve love, kindness, and reciprocity, and that it's okay to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't honor your value. Beloved, the confidence of self-worth is a journey, not a destination. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you feel inadequate or unworthy. In those moments, remind yourself of the truth. You are enough, just as you are. Stand tall in the knowledge that your worth is not up for debate. Let this confidence guide your choices, shape your relationships, and fuel your dreams. When you know you are enough, you radiate a quiet, unshakable strength that transforms not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. That is the power of self-worth. It really is the best guarantee for feeling good enough in this world, especially right now. Life is full of storms, unexpected challenges, losses, and disappointments that test our strength and shake our foundation. While we cannot control the winds or the rain, we can control how we respond. Emotional resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to adapt and rise even when life feels overwhelming. A high-value woman understands that resilience is not about being unshaken by life's hardships. It's about learning to navigate them with grace, courage, and self-compassion. Resilience begins with self-awareness. Before you can weather life's storms, you must understand your own emotional landscape. Take the time to identify what triggers you, what soothes you, and what drains your energy. Emotional resilience is not about suppressing your feelings, but about allowing yourself to experience them fully without becoming consumed by them. When the waves of sadness, anger, or fear come crashing in, remind yourself that emotions are temporary visitors. They are not who you are, they are what you feel. A key part of cultivating resilience is building a strong foundation of self-care. Think of resilience as a muscle that grows stronger with proper nourishment and rest. Prioritize the habits and practices that replenish your energy. Whether it's journaling, meditating, spending time in nature, or connecting with loved ones, self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity for resilience. When you take care of your emotional and physical well-being, you equip yourself to face challenges with greater clarity and strength. Another cornerstone of emotional resilience is reframing failure and adversity. When life knocks you down, it's easy to see setbacks as proof of inadequacy. But beloved, every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow. Resilience is about shifting your perspective from why is this happening to me to what is this teaching me? The storms of life often carry lessons that shape our character, deepen our empathy, and refine our purpose. Embrace the discomfort of growth, knowing that even the hardest seasons have something to offer. Resilience also means reaching out for support. There is no shame in leaning on others when the weight of life feels too heavy to carry alone. In fact, asking for help is an act of strength, not weakness. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, those who remind you of your worth when you forget it. Emotional resilience thrives in community. Together, we can weather storms that would feel insurmountable on our own. Beloved, cultivating emotional resilience is a lifelong journey. It's about learning to find calm in the chaos and hope in the uncertainty. Remember, resilience doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you don't let the pain define you. It means you keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. With each storm you endure, you grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. Trust in your ability to rise, for you are far more resilient than you realize. In a world that celebrates networking and social media followings, it's easy to believe that the number of connections we have defines our worth. But deep down, we know that quantity will never replace quality. A high-value woman understands that the most meaningful connections are not measured by their abundance, but by their depth. These are the connections that nourish our souls, anchor us in love and belonging, and remind us that we are never truly alone. Meaningful connections begin with authenticity. You cannot build a genuine relationship while wearing a mask or pretending to be someone you're not. To foster deep bonds, you must first show up as your true self. This requires vulnerability, the courage to be seen for who you really are, flaws and all. When you let others see the real you, you invite them to do the same, creating a space of mutual trust and understanding. Authenticity is the foundation on which all meaningful connections are built. To prioritize quality over quantity, you must also learn to be selective about who you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to the most intimate parts of your heart and life. A high-value woman values her time and energy, choosing to invest in relationships that are reciprocal, uplifting, and respectful. Meaningful connections thrive when both people are willing to give as much as they receive. They are built on shared values, mutual respect, and a deep sense of care. One of the hallmarks of meaningful connections is presence. In today's fast-pacing, distracted world, true presence is a rare gift. It's about putting away your phone, quieting your mind, and truly listening when someone speaks. Presence says, I see you, I hear you, and you matter to me. It's not about how often you talk or how much time you spend together. It's about the quality of the moments you share. A single heartfelt conversation can mean more than 1,000 surface level exchanges. Another essential element of meaningful connections is the ability to navigate conflict with grace. No relationship is without its challenges, but it's how you handle those moments that defines the depth of your bond. Fostering meaningful connections means being willing to have the hard conversations, to apologize when necessary, and to forgive when possible. It's about choosing connection over ego, understanding that every relationship has room for growth if both parties are committed to it. Beloved, fostering meaningful connections is not about casting a wide net. It's about cultivating a garden. Each relationship requires care, attention, and intention to flourish. Let go of the pressure to have a large circle of acquaintances and instead focus on building a smaller circle of deep, authentic relationships. These are the connections that will sustain you through life's joys and challenges. They will remind you of who you are when you lose your way, and they will walk beside you in love and solidarity. Remember, it's not the number of connections you have that matters. It's the quality of the love and understanding you share. In the hustle and noise of modern life, it's easy to find yourself swept up in routines, obligations, and the expectations of others. Days blur into weeks, and suddenly you realize you're living on autopilot, disconnected from your true self. But life is not meant to be a series of unexamined motions. It's meant to be a deliberate journey guided by purpose. A high-value woman understands that living with intention is the key to a life of fulfillment, clarity, and peace. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values and choosing to live from a place of authenticity. Living with intention begins with self-awareness. To align your actions with your values, you must first know what those values are. This requires pausing, reflecting, and asking yourself the important questions. What truly matters to me? What kind of person do I want to be? What legacy do I want to leave behind? These are not questions to rush through. They are invitations to explore the depths of your heart and soul. What can I become? When you have clarity about your values, they become a compass, guiding your decisions and helping you prioritize what truly aligns with your purpose. One of the greatest challenges of living with intention is learning to say no to what doesn't serve you. Society often praises busyness, but filling your days with tasks and commitments that don't align with your values only leads to burnout and resentment. Intention requires discernment, the courage to let go of what distracts you from your path so you can make room for what matters. Every no you give to something misaligned is a yes to something meaningful. A high-value woman is not afraid to protect her time and energy. knowing that these are finite and precious resources. Aligning your actions with your values also requires consistency. It's not about grand gestures or occasional moments of clarity. It's about the choices you make every single day. Intentional living shows up in how you spend your time, the people you surround yourself with, and the way you treat yourself and others. It's found in the small, deliberate acts that align with your purpose. Whether it's dedicating time to a passion project, speaking your truth in a difficult conversation, or simply taking care of your well-being. Living with intention doesn't mean your path will always be clear or easy. There will be moments of doubt, distractions that tempt you, and challenges that test your resolve. But these are opportunities to realign, to recommit to your values, and to remind yourself why you chose this path in the first place. Intention is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up for your life, even when it feels messy, uncertain, or overwhelming. This is the path to showing up for your life, even when it feels messy, uncertain, or overwhelming. Each step you take in alignment with your values is a step toward a life of meaning and purpose. Beloved, living with intention is a radical act of self-love. It's a declaration that your life is too precious to be lived on autopilot. When your actions align with your values, you create a life that feels authentic and deeply fulfilling. You become the author of your story rather than a passive participant. So pause often, reflect deeply, and choose deliberately. Let your values guide you and let your actions reflect the truth of who you are. The climb to vulnerability is the climb to vulnerability. Let your values guide you and let your actions reflect the truth of who you are. In doing so, you will not only create a life of purpose, but also inspire others to do the same. Grace is a quality that transcends mere kindness. It is a powerful combination of compassion and strength, a way of navigating life with dignity and poise, even in the face of adversity. In a world that often equates strength with dominance and compassion with weakness, leading with grace is both an act of courage and a gift to those around you. A high-value woman understands that grace is not about perfection or passivity. It's about showing up with a heart full of empathy and a spirit fortified by resilience. Grace is a quiet, steady force that inspires trust, heals wounds, and builds bridges. To lead with grace, you must first cultivate compassion, both for yourself and for others. Compassion is the ability to see beyond surface level behavior, to recognize the humanity in everyone, even when they fall short or cause harm. It is understanding that people act from their own pain and fears, and that no one is immune to mistakes. But grace doesn't mean tolerating poor behavior or excusing harm. It means responding with empathy while holding firm boundaries. True grace allows you to offer forgiveness without sacrificing self-respect, to show kindness without compromising your values. Strength is the backbone of grace. Leading with grace doesn't mean avoiding conflict or suppressing your voice. It means having the courage to stand firm in your truth while remaining open to understanding others. Strength is what allows you to stay grounded when emotions run high and to remain calm in the face of criticism or opposition. A graceful leader knows that strength is not about overpowering others, but about empowering them. It's about using your influence to uplift, inspire, and guide others toward positive change. Beloved, the art of grace is a lifelong practice, one that requires self-awareness, patience, and intention. Grace is not always easy. It asks us to pause before reacting, to listen deeply before speaking, and to choose love over fear. But the rewards are profound. When you lead with grace, you create a ripple effect of compassion and strength that touches everyone you encounter. You become a beacon of light in a world that often feels chaotic and harsh. Remember, grace is not just something you offer to others, it is something you offer to yourself. Extend it freely and watch as it transforms both your life and the lives of those around you.